The heat of Red Mesa sat thick in the air, as if the sun itself were holding its breath. Dust rolled across the old wooden platform where the auction bell towered, rusted and cracked from years of storms and gunfire. Men gathered shoulder to shoulder, boots scraping earth, whispers swirling like snakes. They waited for warriors to step forward, those who would offer protection, guidance, and battle knowledge to anyone brave enough to claim them. No one here was being sold. This was a pact of honor, and every man who stood in the circle knew it. Cowboy Jack's rider arrived late, his horse staggering from days without rest. His hat sat low, shadowing the storm in his eyes. He carried loss in his jaw, tight, locked, unspoken. His ranch lay in ashes, his brother gone without a grave. He came not to seek help, but to find the weapon that could carve justice into the earth. A drumbeat struck once. Silence swallowed the town. From behind a veil of smoke and dust, a woman emerged, lean, commanding, wrapped in leather and cloth stitched with the patterns of her people. Her skin shimmered beneath, war paint drawn in crimson lines that crossed her cheek like the mark of lightning. Every head turned. No woman had stood on that platform in years, not since the world tried to silence them. Yet here she was, Ayanna. Her steps did not falter. The men scoffed, spat, muttered that a woman had no place offering herself among blades and bullets. But Ayanna did not hear them, not in soul, not in pride. Her gaze fixed on one man only, the stranger, the cowboy, who stood like a wounded wolf. She approached him slowly, the sound of her feet against sand louder than any roar. When she stopped in front of him, her voice spoke low enough for only him to truly hear, yet strong enough that the wind carried it across the circle. By my alliance, cowboy, I promise you will be satisfied with vengeance, with protection, with the justice you seek. She did not bow. She did not offer her hand like a servant. She stood tall, offering strength. Jack stared into her eyes that held storms and scars. He reached into his coat, gripping a single silver coin. Instead of placing it in her palm, he set it against his own chest. His voice cracked like a broken branch. I choose you, not to own, but to stand with. And in that breath, history shifted. The desert swallowed sound the way grief swallows memory, slowly, completely, leaving only a hollow echo behind. Jack's rider rode behind Ayanna through seas of shifting red sand, watching the way she moved, as if the earth itself parted for her footsteps. She didn't speak for hours. She didn't need to. The land spoke enough. Coyotes howled in the distance, and the faint prints of horses told stories no man could have written. Ayanna glanced at them once and knew. 6 riders, 2 wounded, traveling north, iron fangs. Jax didn't ask how. He didn't need to. This woman saw more with one look than he had seen his entire life. At dusk they reached a canyon hollow where rock walls towered like old gods carved into the land. Ayanna lit a fire that barely flickered, small, controlled, invisible to enemy eyes. Jax watched her hands, how precise they were, how every move meant something. She showed him how to grip a bow not like a weapon, but like a promise. She placed his fingers where she wanted them, her touch brief, strong, and cold. You hold too much anger, she said. Arrows fly straight only when the heart is steady, Jax wanted to argue. How could his heart be steady when everything he loved was gone? But her voice left no room for fight. Night deepened. Stars scattered like bone fragments across the sky. The fire cast shadows over Ayanna's face, turning her war paint into streaks of blood-red lightning. She stared into the flames without blinking. And finally, she spoke of what her silence guarded. The Iron Fangs did not just take land, she whispered. They took my sister. She was only 14. She had laughter that made even horses stop to listen. Her voice cracked not with weakness, but with the unbearable weight of memory. Jax felt something twist inside him, a truth he had never expected. Their pain was not separate. It was the same storm wearing 2 skins. He told her of his ranch, of the night fire licked fences clean and smoke stole his brother's breath. He waited for her to pity him, but she didn't. Instead, she leaned close enough that he could smell the smoke tangled in her hair. Tomorrow you are not a cowboy, she said, pressing ash to his forehead. Tomorrow you are something born of fire, and as the flames dimmed, Jax didn't sleep. He only waited for morning, waited to become whatever she believed he could. Snakejaw Canyon rose before them, like the jaws of some ancient beast, its rocky walls stained with centuries of sun, blood, and forgotten prayers. Ayana raised a hand, halting Jax in silence. The canyon floor was littered with hoof prints, split in different directions like veins across skin, fresh, heavy, urgent. The iron fangs were here. Their presence clung to the air, thick and sour, like rot sitting beneath hot sun. Jax felt his pulse thrum in his throat. He had imagined this moment for months. But revenge, when finally within reach, did not feel like triumph. It felt like drowning before even touching the river. Ayana knelt, pressing her palm to the earth. She breathed slow, her eyes closing, her mind listening to what the land itself whispered. When she stood, a single word left her lips. Ambush. Jax barely nodded before she vanished into shadows, climbing rock like a spirit dressed in flesh. He tried to follow, quiet, careful, but his boots scraped a stone. The canyon answered with a metallic click behind him, a gun pressed against his spine. Didn't expect to see you back here, Ryder. The voice was one Jax knew, one he wished he could forget. He turned just enough to see the one holding the pistol, Eli, a former ranch hand from Jax's land, a boy he once trusted like a brother. His face was thin now, hollow in the cheeks, eyes swallowed by greed. Iron fangs pay better than cattle, Eli spat, and loyalty don't feed a man. Ayana appeared above them on a ledge, bow drawn, her arrow aimed straight at the traitor's throat. Jax held up a hand, shaking his head. If she released, the sound of Eli's body hitting the ground would echo. The gang would come, everything would be over. But hesitation can be death. Eli shoved Jax forward and fired. The bullet grazed Jax's ribs, ripping heat and pain across his side. He crashed into the dirt, breath gone, vision spinning. Ayana released her arrow, not to kill, but to strike Eli's gun from his hand. She leapt from the rock like falling fire, her blade flashing in her grip. Eli ran, screaming for help, his voice ricocheting through the canyon. Ayana grabbed Jax beneath his arms, dragging him behind boulders, crimson already staining his shirt. You bleed for truth, she said, pressing a hand over the wound. Now tell me, were you one of them? Jax's vision blurred, his voice shredded by pain. Once, he admitted, I didn't know what they'd become. I left. I swear, I left. Ayana said nothing. The desert wind answered for her, cold and sharp. You say you want justice, she whispered. Then tomorrow you must earn it. And as Jax blacked out against the canyon stone, her shadow stood guard, alone, unyielding, prepared to face night and death if she must, until he woke to finish what began. Dawn came slowly, as though the sun itself feared what waited beneath its first light. Ayana stood on the ridge, overlooking the Iron Fang's final camp, her body still, her breath steady, her spirit coiled like a bowstring ready to release. Behind her, Jax struggled to rise. His side burned where the bullet carved its mark, but the fire in his chest burned fiercer. Ayana did not look back when he approached. She simply said, stand or fall. Today decides which one you become. And so he stood. Below them, the outlaws moved like insects, men coated in dust and greed, rifles leaning on whiskey barrels, laughter echoing in the early hush. Jax saw the man who led them, Crowder, the monster wrapped in skin, the one who burned his ranch, the one who dragged Ayana's sister away, never letting her see another dawn. Rage clawed at Jax's throat. His hands shook. But Ayana placed her palm on his arm, grounding him like earth beneath roots. We strike only when the heart obeys the mind, she whispered. They descended like shadows swallowed by wind. Ayana moved first, an arrow slicing the morning silence, piercing the hand of a guard before he reached his gun. Chaos erupted. Jax fired, each bullet carrying a year of grief. Men scattered, curses filling the sky like a foul storm. Ayana fought like something born from thunder, blade flashing. Feet silent, eyes locked not on death, but on purpose. Jax reached Crowder, rage blinding thought. The two collided, fists and memories smashing together. Crowder grabbed a fallen rifle, aiming point blank, but Ayana's blade slammed into his wrist, forcing the gun away. Justice is not yours alone, she told Jax. Her voice did not tremble. It commanded. Jax pinned Crowder to the dirt, his hands around the man's throat. He could end it. One move, one breath. Ayana's voice cut through him. If you kill him because of anger, you stay a ghost. If you kill him because of truth, you walk away alive. Jax let go, not in mercy, but in decision. He bound Crowder instead, making him face the law, the truth, and the weight of every life he'd crushed. After the smoke faded and silence returned, Ayana walked to her sister's burial. Mound, an unmarked patch of earth beneath, a lone cedar tree. She set her knife there not as surrender but as closure. Jax approached quietly, his shadow falling beside hers, not ahead. "Are you satisfied?" he asked, voice rough, almost afraid. Ayana lifted her gaze to the horizon, where sun met sand in burning gold. "Satisfied," she said softly, "because I chose my battle, and I did not fight it alone." They left the battlefield side by side, neither savior nor saved, just two survivors who earned the right to breathe another dawn.